When so much is taken, what remains? With so much gone, what continues? When strength vanishes and body fails, what part persists? Perhaps it's the deepest part, the part that believes.
Yes, it is.
Believe means to me that I can basically do anything that I want to do if I put my mind to it and work hard at it.
From the time he stepped on a football field in Avenel, New Jersey, in Pee-wees, Eric LeGrand made people believe. At Colonia High School, he grew into a two-way player, four-year starter, and full-time force. His senior year, he had 115 tackles and scored 12 touchdowns. It was then LeGrand developed a ritual, one he shared in the summer of 2010, a ritual involving a word that would become his second signature.
I used to always hit the EL because Eric LeGrand, for the initials for and believe, used to always tap that.
A second-team All-State linebacker, LeGrand chose to stay home and play for Rutgers. With his size and strength, coaches moved him to nose guard. In 2008, his freshman year, he played immediately.
Hodges can't get away from Eric LeGrand, who drags him down at the 20-yard line. Then a sack for LeGrand.
The staff also saw another role.
I played special teams all year, kickoff and kickoff return, where I basically found my home at.
He was on our kickoff team. He was our leading player on our kickoff team. So that tells you a little bit about a 275-pound man who's your go-to guy on your kickoff team.
We're here at the Meadowlands, the new Giant Stadium. We're out here ready to go, being focused. We're going to keep on chopping all day long.
Eric LeGrand, 6'2", 275-pound junior from Avenel, New Jersey.
The weather was perfect for football. There was 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. We're running down on the field and going down there to make a tackle in a big game, just like I've done hundreds of times before.
Oh, what a great open field hit by Eric LeGrand, who is shaken up on the play.
It felt like a flash grenade went off. Everything went silent in slow motion for a minute, and then all of a sudden I was on the ground. And I tried to get up and I couldn't move. And I was sitting there like, what's going on? I can't breathe right now. And then I just blacked out. And they explained the whole thing. You fractured your C3, C4 vertebrae, and you were paralyzed. So I'll never be able to come off the ventilator, never be able to eat solid foods, never be able to walk again. They told me I'll never be able to live a normal life. I believe if we put the funding to it, you'll get these people, including me, out of these wheelchairs, and that's what I'm going to continue to do, to raise awareness and try to raise money through Team LeGrand of the Chris Grandin Reed Foundation, so I can live my dream and going back to MetLife Stadium, getting back up and walking, running, or whatever I can off that field.
We talked to Eric LeGrand, former Rutgers player who unfortunately was paralyzed in 2010 trying to make a tackle in a game against Army. What have doctors told you about your ability or your efforts to try to walk again?
You know, things have come back for me. I'm not where I want to be yet, but I'm still working hard to get there. That's trying to get back on my feet, you know, and leave everything else in God's hands.
That day can't come soon enough.
Eric LeGrand is on a mission to create a new life for himself. Faced with obstacles most would deem insurmountable, his notion of winning and losing has truly taken on a different meaning.
Push. Come on.
But where others might see despair, he sees hope.
I really believe that this happened for a reason. I'm supposed to do great things with this situation.
Inspiring others everywhere and fighting for a future he can see just over the horizon.
And when I'm done with my time, it's over to inspire everybody. I believe I will walk again. And when I do rise from this chair, I'm gonna go back onto the field right where I got hurt. I'm gonna lay right back in that position and get up and walk off that field and say, I finished that play. It's crazy to say that injury just happened October 16th, was 7 years ago now since that injury, but I should remember it just like it was yesterday. And I want to bring you back to that day, October 16th, 2010, and we were running. It was tied up. We just tied up the game 17-17 in the fourth quarter, and I was on the kickoff team. So I remember I wanted to run down on the field to make a big play for my team, so maybe we can get our defense out there, get off the field real quick, and get the ball back to our offense with enough time to score to win the game. And on that particular game, I remember I was facing a double team, which means as soon as the ball was kicked off, two guys came to block me right away. And on that particular kickoff, I was able to get right by the two guys, so I had a good 30-yard head start at the guy I was about to make this tackle on. And everyone knows when you play football, if you're going to tackle with your head, you must keep your head up. And I remember I said to myself running down the field, do I want to use my head or do I want to use my shoulder? I said, you know what, it's going to be a big hit. Let me use my shoulder, and I'll put my head on the side and I won't even be in the tackle at all. I don't know if you saw in the video, but my teammate got down there about a half a second before I did, and he tripped the guy up. And when the guy got tripped up, his body twirled in the air. Because I put my head down thinking it wasn't going to be in the tackle, and actually the crown of my head went right into the back of his shoulder blade, and that's what caused the accident. And I remember hearing the crowd go, ooh, so I knew it was a big hit. I remember as soon as I hit the ground, I tried to get up to celebrate with my team, and my teammates came running over to me, and right away they saw in my eyes that, that something was wrong, and they called the trainers out. Next thing you know, I remember the trainers are in my face asking me, Eric, is it your head or your neck? And at the time, all I could say was, I can't breathe. That's all I could get out at the time, man. I remember they were saying, can you feel this? Can you feel that? And I was like, I can't breathe. From there, they brought my head coach out, Greg Schiano. And I remember he comes out and he looks down at me and he goes, E, you have to pray right now. And honestly, when he said that to me, I'm thinking, my life is over. He's telling me I can't move, I can't breathe, and now my coach is telling me to pray. Of course, I was praying for a gasp of air or anything, but at one point I did close my eyes and I was just like, you know what? God, take me at ease. This is it. And as I closed my eyes and nothing happened, I kind of went back to panicking again, and I opened them back up. And at this time now, they're putting a board under me to put me up onto the cart and cart me off the field. And as they lifted me up on the board, somehow I caught a gasp of air for a second. So I said, you know what, maybe I just knocked the wind out of myself, because that's exactly what it felt like. I'll be able to breathe in a few minutes. Let me try to give a thumbs up to the crowd to let everyone know it's going to be okay. I went to give a thumbs up to the crowd, and it just felt like there was a 1,000-pound cinder block laying on my hand. From there, I get to the end of the end zone, and my mom and my sister are now on the field, and my mom's hysterical. So I tried to calm her down, let her know everything's going to be fine. I'll be okay in a few minutes. And then they put me into the ambulance and put an oxygen mask on me. And I was ignorant to the fact of what an oxygen mask actually does for you. I'm thinking once they put this on, I'll be able to take that deep breath in like that and be able to breathe again. And I remember they put it on, I went to take that deep breath, and I wasn't able to breathe out on my own. And I kind of, scared myself and freaked myself out so much that I passed out. And I remember bits and pieces, but I remember this injury happened on a Saturday, and I don't remember much till Wednesday, but I do remember getting to the hospital and looking up and seeing a bunch of lights as I was getting carted down the hallway. But then I blacked out. I woke up again, and I was in a room filled with a bunch of doctors. But it sounded like they were speaking like a different language at the time. It was just pretty crazy. I blacked out. I woke up one more time, and I was in that same room by myself with just a bunch of monitors and sounds going off. And then I blacked out again. And when I woke up on Wednesday, I finally had, came to, I was so highly medicated on the drugs from the surgery and things like that. That's why I really don't remember anything until Wednesday. But when I woke up on Wednesday now, I woke up to a room filled with a bunch of signed jerseys, helmets, postcards, so many people reaching out to me. It was, pretty cool to see. And I remember at the time, Tom Coughlin was the head coach of the Giants. He came over from over after practice to see me, and he sent over a bunch of the rookies at the time, so I was excited. Then Andy Reid was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. He came over to see me as well, and I was all excited about this at the time because I'm thinking I'm still gonna be playing football. Like now, these guys know who I am. I'm about to be a first-round pick when I get out of this hospital. I was all excited, to see all these people come and see me. And then all, my family, friends, people I haven't actually seen since middle school were coming by to see me. And everyone was just so positive. It kind of took my mind away from everything that was going on with my injury. It just was nice to catch up with people I haven't seen in years. Just like I said, just so motivating, so positive in my room. Little did I know what my mom and my family had been through those few days that I don't remember. Right away, they brought up the bad news to my mom. And there was 2 doctors, and one was very blunt with her, and they brought her into the room with a few other people, and they said, okay, your son has fractured his C3, C4 vertebrae. He'll be paralyzed from the neck down for the rest of his life. He'll never walk again. He'll never eat solid foods, never breathe on his own, and he'll never live a normal life. We're hoping that he's strong enough to make it through the surgery. And, after that, he left to go get prepared for the surgery. And, I'm sure you can imagine being a parent. My mom was devastated after hearing, all that news, but the other doctor stayed and tried to give her all these different percentages here, different percentages there. But my mom, at the time, she was checked out. She didn't want to hear any of that. So once that doctor left and they started preparing me for the surgery and things like that, there was one word I said, 3 words I said to her, and I kind of remember it, but I kind of don't. But they let me see her before I went into the surgery, and my mom said, when I saw her, I said, I'll be back. And my mom heard me say, I'll be back. She was like, you know what? From here on out, whoever goes in that room has to be positive, uplifting, motivating. Don't let them see you upset. Don't let them see you crying, things like that. And that's what everyone who came into my room was. They were just upbeat and motivating it. Like I said, it just took away everything that was going on and made me forget about it. Even the doctors that came in the room at the time, they were, like, Eric, you're going to be fine, and it's going to be okay, this and that. And that's exactly what I needed to hear because it jump-started everything from the very beginning to, where I am now. Just that positive mindset. And as time went along, in a few weeks, I realized, the extent of my injury, and I probably wasn't going to be playing football anymore. But at that time, I wasn't worried about that. I was just worried about my health and trying to get back on my feet. It was a big adjustment for me because I went from being this big football player in college, doing everything for myself, to now having to rely on other people like nurses and aides and things like that. And at first, I didn't trust everybody, to do this, to do that for me. But I had to try to gain their trust, and I was staying at Hackensack at the time when I got hurt. I was there for about 3.5 weeks, and I finally just gotten used to everybody as I was there. And now they come in the room and they tell me, Eric, we got to get you out of here. We're going to be going over to West Orange. We're going to be at Kessler Institute for the next 5 months to get you, into rehab, and so you can get back on your feet, walking again, things like that. And I remember I was just like, finally just got used to everybody. Now they want me to leave here. And I remember it was on November 3rd. It was a Wednesday. I remember waking up that morning and everyone had been pumping me up like, you got to get out of here. We got to get you out of here, this like that. But something in the back of my mind that morning when I woke up, I knew I wasn't ready yet. I was still falling asleep in the middle of conversations. I was exhausted when they were trying to do physical therapy by just stretching me. Because I just wasn't physically, mentally ready for that move yet. But everyone was pumping me up to do it, and I was like, you know what, let's go for it. So that day, I remember I moved over to Kessler, and I remember when I got there, I felt like everyone was in the hallway just staring down at me as I was on the stretcher getting carted through the wing. And when they transferred me over, I was first on a ventilator, and they had to take me off, and there was this breathing machine where someone squeezes the air into you. So talk about literally having your life in somebody else's hands. That was, one of the scariest moments because I wasn't on that ventilator machine anymore. So I was paranoid the entire ride over there. Just everything was just scary for me. I finally get into my room now at Kessler, and Kessler, they decided that they wanted to bring down everybody to meet me all at once, from the CEO to administration, and then my PT came in, the OT came in, the nurses that were going to be working at this session, that session, and the last person that comes in was about this 5'6", maybe 140-pound Jamaican guy, and he comes up to me, his name was Humphrey, comes up to me, he goes, I'm going to be taking care of your mom. I'm going to be getting you dressed. I'm going to be doing this, that. And I look at him, and I look over at my mom, and I was like, Mom, you got to get me out of here. This is going to be the guy that's taking care of me for the next 5 months. I immediately saw how small he was, and I remember just being this big football player. I'm like, there's no way possible. Like, this going to be lifting me and doing this and that. So little did I know he's going to become a lifelong friend and teach my mom all these different techniques on how to take care of a quadriplegic and this and that. But now at the time, I'm terrified. And they finally let him leave the room, and I calmed down a little bit. But it was weird because Rutgers was actually playing that night, which was weird because, like I said, we usually play the Thursday, Friday, or Saturday, but they were playing down in South Florida that Wednesday night. So I got to pick out the uniform for my team, so I was all excited to see my teammates play and everything. So kind of just look forward to that for the rest of the day. Finally, the game came on around 7 or 8 o'clock. I forgot what it was, and I remember they were going back and forth with each other in the game, back and forth, back and forth. But then the fourth quarter hit, and all of a sudden I started getting real anxious and jittery in the bed that I was laying in. I remember asking the aide, I was like, "Can you put my shoulders over here? No, put my shoulders back. Put a pillow under my arm. Take that pillow out, put it under my leg. Angle me this way, angle me that way." Every 5 minutes, and everyone's trying to calm me down, like, relax, calm down, you need to just relax and try to watch the rest of the game. I'm like, I can't get comfortable, nothing. Every time I move, it's just more uncomfortable than it was the first time. So unfortunately, Rutgers went on to lose that game, I remember, and I was like, you know what, let me just try to get some sleep, and, sleeping off has been a long day. I went to bed, I wake up about an hour later, and now I'm on a stretcher. And I remember opening my eyes, and my vision was completely blurred. It felt like my eyes were cross-eyed. And I feel like somebody smacked me in my face saying, like, "Eric, wake up. Eric, wake up." But it didn't sound like a male or a female. It kind of sounded like a demon, actually. Like, "Eric, wake up." And I remember I said, "Hit me again." And it was my mom. She smacked me right across my face again. And at the time, I was completely delirious. So I tried to attack her, not knowing who it was, what was going on. And, of course, I couldn't move or anything. But she said, I let out, like, this growl at her. And she said, all right, that was it. She ran out to the nurses and said, we have to get him out of here now. Come to find out, I had a 105.5 degree fever, and I was 0.5 degrees away from frying my brain and becoming brain dead for the rest of my life if they couldn't figure out what was causing that fever and get my temperature down. So now they're rushing me out to St. Barnabas Hospital. And I remember my mom had to call down to my coach down in Tampa. They were playing down in South Florida at the time. And she had to tell them everything that was going on, and the doctors had told them that they don't know if I'm going to make it through the night if they can't find out what's causing my temperature, things like that. So, it was a rough night, and they get me to St. Barnabas. And when they landed back in New Jersey, I remember my coaches told me, months later that they were scared to turn their phones back on because they didn't know what type of news that they were going to land to at the time. But, through the grace of God, thank God I'm still here. But they came, it was my athletic director, my coach, they came right over to the hospital right after that, and this is like 3:30 in the morning. I remember when I got to the hospital, things like that, but things were very blurry because I said I was very delirious because of the temperature, but I do remember this story very vividly. It's kind of funny, but kind of crazy at the same time. But I remember I was in the ICU room waiting for a room, and there was just like a curtain up, and when I woke up, the first two people I saw were my sister and my athletic director. My sister was at the end of the bed, and my athletic director was like in the little curtain doorway area. And I woke up and I was like, "Hey, Nicole." She goes, "Hey." Like, "Hey, how you feeling, Eric?" I'm like, "I feel good." She goes, "Very good." You just gave us a little bit of a scare, but kind of like went through one ear right out the other. And I was like, "Nicole, we're going to IHOP today." And she looked at me again. She was like, "No, Eric, we're not going to IHOP." And I'm like, "Why?" Like, I want some pancakes. Like, why can't we go to IHOP? And she was like, "Eric, no, you can't eat pancakes. Like, you have no idea like what's going on right now, this and that." So I got frustrated. I was like, all right, whatever. Not understanding the whole situation. So let me get up and go for a walk real quick and blow off the steam. Tried to roll out the bed to where I was, and of course couldn't move or anything. So I was like, "Nicole, get off of me. I want to go for a walk." And she's like, "Eric, I'm not on you." I'm like, "Nicole, please just get off." And she's like, "Eric, I'm not on you." And I remember I got so frustrated, and I tried to like pop myself up, and I remember looking up and I saw my athletic director in the doorway, and he was just terrified. Like, his eyes and I were bulging at his head, not knowing what was going on. And I threw my head back in the bed, and I kind of blacked out after that. And I remember just falling back asleep. Finally, another hour or so goes by, and I wake up again, and I'm in a room now. And I finally had got my temperature down. I had some type of infection, but they figured out what it was, and they were able to give me medicine now to get my temperature down. So now I wake up about 5 o'clock now in the morning in another room. And I'm just looking around now because I finally feel better. I'm not delirious anymore. And, just checking out my surroundings. And I look over and my mom and my sister are knocked out and sleeping on each other, leaning on each other on this little couch. And I look over in front of me and my coach is there. And he's knocked out. When there was a spilled cup of coffee between his legs on the floor. So I didn't want to wake anybody up. So I knew it was early in the morning. So I just kind of let everything be. Like I said, I was just checking out my surroundings. And ESPN was on the TV. So I was just watching TV. So the story I'm about to changed my life forever as I was laying in that room. All of a sudden, about 15 minutes went by, and this girl gets rushed into the ICU. You see her go by, and then you see mom, dad, aunts, uncles, grandparents too. But then after that, you see a bunch of these kids go by, probably about 15, 16, 17 years old, all go walking by too. There was probably like 15 of them or so. I overheard at the nursing station, because my room was right outside the nursing station, that girl had a brain aneurysm. She had a cancerous tumor on her brain, and it started to bleed out in her brain, so they were rushing her in to do surgery. So I was like, oh, wow. I'm like, it doesn't sound good. But, say another hour went by. Everyone was still knocked out of my room. It was about 6:30. And I'm still watching TV. All of a sudden, I hear a lot of commotion going on in the hallway, so I look out there. And all these faces, all these people are leaving, hysterically crying. These kids, mom, dads, this and that. Everyone's hysterical for about 20 minutes. Finally, everything started to settle down again, and I overheard at the nursing station that girl didn't make it through the night. And when I heard that, I said, you know what? Whatever I need to do, if I need to pray, if I need to work hard, if I need to relax, whatever it is, I'm going to do, because I don't want to have my family, my teammates, my friends ever have to leave the hospital the way that family did, and those kids, just a vivid image in my brain of that day. It was, a very sad moment. But 5 days later, now I was back at Kessler, where I was going to be doing my rehab, and it was kind of funny because when I got back to Kessler, now my story had been in the paper a little bit, in the news and things like that. So I kind of had celebrity treatment when I got there, and I never had that treatment before. So it was funny. I would go to the gym. And everyone would be working out, going through their routine, whatever they were doing at the time. And I remember as soon as I came to the gym, it was like the record stopped playing, and everyone turned their head to the door like I was about to do a backflip as I came walking in. And everyone would just stop what they're doing and just get quiet, and they would stare at me come in, go all the way around everybody, and go to my back corner. And then as I got to my corner and turned around and settled, everyone would just turn their head and go back to doing whatever they were doing. It was kind of weird and awkward, but it went on for a solid 2 weeks. Without anybody saying a word to me, but just staring at me as I came through. Finally, after 2 weeks of doing the therapy with pretty much silence, when no one said anything to me, this kid Jermaine had the courage to come up to me. He was like, I know who you are and this and that. My name's Jermaine, blah, blah, blah. And, we hit it off right away. He was 22. I was 20 at the time. And I remember we just, like I said, hit it off right away. He became one of my good friends at Kessler. And he had his upper body so he can wheel himself around and things like that. And when I was at Kessler, I'm not going to lie to you, Rutgers, they did take care of me. They had my flat screen TV brought up to my room. They had my Xbox hooked up in the room. And they even had a satellite dish installed right on top of my room so I can get all the cable channels and everything at the time so I could watch all the TV. So let's say after therapy, my room was the hangout room. Everyone wanted to be in there. Jermaine, he would come rolling down and he'd be starting to play my video games and things like that. And I'm sitting there talking junk to him, telling him he's lucky my hands aren't working right now. I'll be beating him in this game or that game. So he became like part of my family. All my teammates started to know him when they came to visit me, my friends, my family. My grandma was even cooking collard greens for him on the weekends. It was pretty crazy, but he became, like I said, part of my family. So as time was going along, as our stay was going along, then I realized, I'm like, this guy knows everybody I know. Like, he knows all my family, this and that. I'm like, I don't know anything about him. So I finally had the courage to ask him his story, his situation, and everything. And it's kind of the craziest story I probably ever heard in my life. But he said one day he was walking, started to get real fatigued in his legs, and he didn't realize what was going on, so just let it go. Another week or so went by. He actually started to lose control of his bowels and bladder. So he went to the doctor, and the doctor gave him medicine for his bowels and bladder. But he told him that he needs to either lose weight or start working out more so his legs could support his body weight. And you should have known that was a red flag right there, because he was a little bit overweight, probably about 5'8", 200 pounds, but at that size, you could still support your body weight. Say another month went by. He actually worked at Newark Airport. He said he sat down to eat lunch one day, and he never got back up again. They took him in finally to do the CAT scan and the MRIs and things like that. Come to find out, he had a cancerous tumor growing on the lower part of his spinal cord, which was cutting off all the signals to his lower extremities, which was causing his paralysis at the time. And at the time, they said that the tumor was, had grown to be at a size that if they wanted to operate on it, they would have to completely sever his spinal cord and he'll be paralyzed from the waist down for the rest of his life. So they went and they did the regular chemo and radiation to try to shrink the tumors and see if he'll gain back any, functions of his lower extremities. And from there, he would be in it some days and out of it. There's other days it was, just in it as chemo treatments, would go. Be some days good, some days bad. So it was about 5 months into our stay in Kessler, and it was time for us to go home. And at the time, my house was in Woodbridge, Avenel, New Jersey, wasn't ready for me to move into, so I moved into my aunt's house down in Jackson. And I took a 2-week break from doing inpatient therapy in different part of the gym, this and that. So I was going to go to now outpatient therapy, which is a different part of the gym, of the whole building, with new therapists. It's just amped up to another level. So I took a 2-week break to get settled at home, this and that. And I came back now to start on a Friday, so I came in to do my evaluation before I actually started therapy. And as I rolled into the gym, there's this wheelchair clinic where people get fitted for their permanent chairs. And I look over and I saw Jermaine over there. So I rolled over to him. I was like, Jermaine, what's going on, man? I'm sorry I didn't get to say goodbye. You were in the hospital when I left. And I remember he turned and looked at me with the blankest stare in the world, like he had no idea who I was. Like we didn't just spend the last 5 months together and whatnot. I guess I was like, wow. Things have obviously taken a turn for the worse. So, his cancer had spread. His eyes were all messed up. It was just a sad situation. So I rolled over and I went over to do my evaluation, and he left a little bit earlier before I did. So I was like, all right, I'll catch him, on Monday or whatever, and then when he comes back. Okay, I remember I came back on Monday now to start up my therapy. And I remember I rolled over to the wheelchair clinic. People were like, hey, Jermaine got his new chair and everything. Like, yeah, he got fitted for his chair, but unfortunately he passed away over the weekend. And I remember saying when I heard that news, I said to myself right then and there, I'm like, you know what? I'll never complain about anything in this world again because, this kid would do anything just to be able to take care of himself, be able to make a home-cooked meal. I remember he was wearing the same clothes 4 days in a row. I was giving him clothes to wear. And I met his mom and dad towards the end of his stay at Kessler. I met his mom twice and his dad once. And it's just, he didn't have that support system. And I said, meanwhile, I got millions of people wishing me well, wanting to do this, wanting to do that, asking me, can I do this or can I do that? And maybe put things into perspective. And I said in life, you know what? We got to be appreciative for the things that we do have and don't focus on the things that we don't have. And if it's something that you want, then you work your butt off to get it. That's how I live my life each and every day. And it made me realize people say, how do you stay so motivated? How do you stay so driven? And honestly, I say it's the people that reach out to me on my social media platforms while I'm out and about that say, Eric, I ran 3 miles today because I know you do anything to run. Or, Eric, I went to the gym today because I know you do anything to be able to lift again. Or a little girl comes up to me and tells me she read my book because she wanted to do a book report on me, and I inspire her. It makes me realize, you know what? I am doing good in life, and I'm trying to help other people out day by day because in life, we're all going to face some type of adversity. Doesn't matter if you're 5 years old or if you're 65 years old. But how you handle it ultimately will define you as a person. And I'm not letting this wheelchair hold me back from doing anything that I want to do in my life. It was crazy that at the time, I had so many people giving to me that they're asking, how can we help you? And I'm sure most of you in here know who Christopher Reeve was, the original Superman, things like that. So, funny story, with the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation, they had approached my mom in the very beginning about helping out with, spinal cord injury things, anything that might need. I want to start a foundation, things like that one day. And I remember at the time now, as everyone's giving back, my mom was like, you want to start a foundation, the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. They're asking, do you want to be partners with them? And I remember I was like, I keep on hearing that name, but Mom, who's Christopher and Dana Reeve? And she was like, are you kidding me? The original Superman, blah, blah, blah. I said, Mom, I was born in 1990. I don't know anything about him in the 70s and the 80s, things like that. So, did my research and everything. And I was just like, wow, I was taken back on who he was and how his foundation wanted to partner with me. So we were able to form Team LeGrand of the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation of the fall of 2013, which is to raise money to find a cure for paralysis. And I can say it's been a blast because last Thursday, a week from today, a week ago, we went over the $1 million mark to raise money for spinal cord injury research. And I was inspired by Jermaine because I want to give him, people in my situation hope the people that don't have the same platform that I have to be able to share their story, things like that. Be able to give him hope that one day he'll be able to take care of himself. So he motivated me to give back because, some people, they're in an unfortunate situation. I always say to people, no matter how bad we may think we may have it, someone always has it worse than us, no matter what. No matter how bad your situation may be, someone always has it worse than you. And it also leads me to a definition that I lived my life by that was embedded in our head at Rutgers that our coach made us say every single day. And it's the definition of success. And it's the peace of mind you get knowing you did everything you could to be the best you can be. I'll say it one more time. It's the peace of mind you get knowing you did everything you could to be the best you can be. If you know you gave it your all at whatever it was, I say to, the kids, if it was, out on the football field, if it was doing your homework or helping your mom on a weekend, or for people, more like you guys, if it was out on the field selling houses, whatever it is, working together as a team. If you know you gave it your all at whatever it is, you should be able to lay your head down on that pillow at night and sleep at ease because you say, you know what? I gave her my all, and this is all I have, and there was nothing left I could give out there. And that's how I try to live my life each and every day. And it's funny, too, because when I first got hurt, people thought, Rutgers, they gave you a degree, Eric, right? And I was like, shoot, I wish they gave me my degree. I still had to go back and get 60 more credits after my injury. But I remember I started taking classes via Skype that January of 2011 at Kessler. And I remember people would send me over the notes. I had a note taker for each class, but I would Skype into the 3-hour lecture, whatever it was. And after that, there was this software where I could do my paper, which was called Dragon Natural Speaking, which I could talk to the computer and things like that. And let me tell you, it's a lot easier to type a 5-page paper out than it is to talk to this Dragon Natural Speaking software. But I was able to talk to it, and I had to talk about 5-page papers and things like that. But I was able to graduate with my degree in labor relations in 2014 from Rutgers. So I always try to tell kids, I'm like, if I can do it without being able to write my hand down on a piece of paper, there's no excuse for anybody to be able to do whatever they want to do in life. Things have been harder. I had to have my mom drive me around here to bring me to this tutor or that tutor or this class or that class, but I was able to get it done, and I was able to graduate. Like I said, in life, don't ever let anything hold you back from anything you want to do. And I truly believe that one day I'm going to go back to MetLife Stadium and lay down on that 25-yard line and finish that last play. Now, hope you guys will all join me for that party because it's going to be a big party in New Jersey that day. So I thank you guys for letting me be able to share my story with you guys. And I said, don't let anything ever hold you back in life from whatever you want to do. It's just so like you're going to face adversity, go out there and handle it face on and be able to just take that adversity and say, I did whatever I was going to do, whatever was thrown at me. So thank you guys again.